Welcome. Thank you for being here on this Mastery Monday. Hope your weekend was absolutely incredible. I want to start today. And by the way, my name is Adam Gugino, co-founder Unblinded. Fernando Valencia is here with me as well. I wanted to start today with a question. You guys can answer in the chat. What might even be worse than not doing marketing for your business? What might even be worse than not buying quality leads for your business? What might even be worse than not reaching out and scheduling speaking engagements? What might be worse than not doing any of that? And the answer is not following up after a speaking engagement, after you've received one of these opportunities. I will give you an example of this scenario. Back at the solar company, one of the key distinctions of what made us one of the fastest growing solar companies in the country, why we were able to scale from 3 million to $750 million in 3 years, was because of our speed of follow-up, our speed of being able to call somebody 7 seconds after we were introduced or received the information on that person. And then we were able to be at their home anywhere in the country within 2 hours. When those opportunities came to us, and when an hour passed or 3 hours passed or 4 hours passed or even a day passed, the likelihood of being able to actualize that into an agreement dropped dramatically as hours and days went by. So ask yourself, when you're doing all of this work and this energy is being put into doing a speaking engagement, being on a podcast, doing a Real Raw, or all of the different incredible ways that you're out there marketing and being able to have the opportunity to speak to your optimal avatar, what are you doing after that? How quickly are you reaching out and scheduling a call with that person? How much are you optimizing what happens on that call and innovating on what happens on that phone call? Where does that phone call go after you speak to that person? How do you take them through a flow to come to some type of an agreement or ecosystem merger or sale? I'll give another example of Sean and myself. It's a little bit over a year ago now where I saw Sean on stage at Tony Robbins speaking at Business Mastery. And I knew I needed to meet this person. I also happened to be sitting next to a gentleman that was, contributed to by Sean, bought a ticket for, and set up a meeting. And between me and Sean, I didn't know what to expect, but I know at that meeting, I was very curious and interested in learning more and potentially beginning to see my future in what was happening there. But it was not going to be a decision that I was going to make overnight by any stretch. I had, built a company. I had been there. I was the heart and soul of the organization I was in. I was the face of the organization. I was set for life, quote unquote. And it would have taken a lot. I shouldn't say a lot. It was almost impossible for me to have would have made a decision in that meeting to say yes to joining Unblinded. So what happened next? Well, multiple phone calls that Sean had made to me. Sean invited me to the Christmas party. Sean had also invited me to a weekend that was coming up at his house, where there was about 15 people there that were going through a training on Unblinded. And the moment I walked in to the house with incredible people there, not knowing what to expect, Sean threw me the microphone and asked me to tell my story to the group that was there. Another example of lowering the friction in that future decision that I made. Sean invited me to UPW, which was ultimately the place where I realized that this is where I needed to be, saw my absolute future in Unblinded, realized that my limiting beliefs were what were holding me back. And the next day was when I walked into that office and told them that I'm walking away from what was financial freedom, what was my life at the time. That process, that flow started in August, and it wasn't until November that our ecosystem merger happened. And it only happened because of consistent follow-up, consistent conversations. If Sean would have, if we had, and I will say this, that dinner was magical. Sean and myself could talk about it. I think last week brought me back to the moment when I realized, some of the key distinctions and the freeing of so much inside of me at that dinner, but none of it, we would not be where we are today. None of it would have mattered. All that amazingness at that dinner would not have mattered if not for the phone call the next day and the invite to the next event. So the question, I kick it back to the audience and to even Fernando, I'd love to hear a little bit from him on this, is like, what are you doing to move forward the flow, the relationships, the ecosystem mergers after you're on a speaking platform? After you've created and sourced all of these opportunities? Is it like carrying sand? Or are you dialed in to the relationships that matter? Are you creating a scalable flow to have those conversations to go from hello to yes? We have an alignment call. We have a strategy session. We have an agreement call. Each step of that flow, people know where they are, where they're going. And of course, then we could dial into influence mastery and know through the 4 steps, the 10 indispensable elements and the 4 energies, where we're suboptimal and why we're not, quote unquote, converting as many yeses as we feel we should. Because when we know and we believe that the person is better off with us than without us, because we could solve for the pain and the aspirations that we've learned are there for that individual. So Fernando, what do you say on all of this?
Well, AG, first I echo, what you're sharing on the importance of follow-up. And Bella, if you're out here and if you, can chat, if not, all good. I believe you also know a thing or two, as you have placed more women salespeople than I believe anyone on the planet. Outside of the skill of influence, what say you on the topic of follow-up regarding what you do or what you teach these salespeople?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Monday. Fun fact, it's snowing in Texas.
Well, that is certainly a fun fact. And it's also a fun fact when Bella hits a certain pitch, like Zoom mutes her out for whatever reason, and we miss her energy. But I felt it nonetheless. So Bella, what say you on this topic?
Yes, on a follow-up is, to me, is like a sign that you care, right? It's that is where, because they say that people need 7 to 10 touches, right? And it is that follow-up that relationship is built. And I love the story that Adam just shared, because in all of those follow-ups, in all the invitations that were sent or invited to, a relationship was created. And I was reading something the other day in marketing, where marketing now more than ever is a human-to-human experience. where like they're recommending like automations be taken out because, you know, people want to connect, especially like during COVID. And so every time we follow up, it is another point of connection. It's another opportunity to show that you care. And I think the biggest reason why people don't follow up is they're afraid of rejection.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Love that. Yeah. Yes. And I agree. And so one of the things obviously that you're speaking into is self-mastery, and that fear of rejection, that fear of making that phone call. There is friction, and the more you develop that relationship, the less friction that there is. You also want to think about, you know, what the agreement formation that you're eventually going to, as opposed to the other side, right, is picking up the phone and looking to create an agreement on the spot. Like I said, if Sean would have asked me at that dinner table or even the next day, there was no amount of money he would have been able to say to me, hey, Adam, like, join me like tomorrow. Not ready. I didn't, that relationship that you speak of, Bella, was not created. There was still, you know, there was curiosity, but there wasn't pure trust. I knew this was one of the most incredible humans I've ever met, but I wasn't ready to walk away from everything I had built in that moment. So, you know, that's another mistake. So one of the mistakes is zero follow-up, right? In fear of rejection, fear of failure. The other one is just, you know, the follow-up is just quote unquote salesy and just like coming so strong at looking to create a yes, or you know, being aggressive in that sense as well. So I think that's also part of the balance.
Yeah, I think it's a sign that you care, because I still remember the day that like you called me for a follow-up call, you know, after I spoke to Fernando, and then like we spoke, and then you called again. And I always remember the level of care I felt when you called me. It never felt salesy. It never felt like you were calling to get something from me. It always felt like it was like you were calling to like check in. And I always felt so cared for. And I think, you know, when we come from that, like that goddess inspirational energy, when we make follow-up calls, like people will actually feel the care. It's that energy transference, right? In care. Like you clearly transferred your energy of extreme care when you made your follow-up call to me.
Well, thank you for that. And I absolutely did. And Fernando knows, like, always just had this desire and care for you, Bella, and knowing like, wow, there's just so much here for her. There's so much here we can do together. Like, I want to help her see what she may not be seeing right now. And I just cared that much about you that I wanted to continue to support. And I knew there was, we joke about this, Bella, but you were not the easiest yes, right? And look where we are now.
Yeah.
Right? So the beauty of it all is that relationship and that flow has created one of the deepest ecosystem mergers that we have within the movement. So grateful for you and grateful for you, you know, taking those calls and continuing to stay with that journey as well.
Yeah. I think if everyone here had 1/10 of the care you do in your follow-up, everyone will be millionaires.
Well,
hey, Adam, speaking of follow-ups and reminders, I wanted to remind everyone that we have Michael Burnett, Dawood, and Dan Isaac on tonight's What is Unblinded and Why the Real Raw Summit. So guys, come on, invite people, and I'm excited to see everyone there.
That is going to be an incredible night. For those of you that saw last week, I said it was one of the, I didn't even say it was one of, last Monday night for me was the greatest, most impactful speaking engagement I've ever been a part of in my life, for just an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever it was. For that time frame, it's never been more riveting. And again, I was a part of it just barely. I might have said like 3 words, but it was absolutely incredible. And I could only imagine what's going to happen tonight.
Yeah, well, tonight is definitely going to be, absolutely stellar. For everyone, once again, what is Unblinded? What is the Real Raw? It's tonight, every Monday at 7 p.m. I know, team, you'll be dropping in the link. And as we bring up Tiffany Armstrong to take us home on this Monday Mastery Huddle, Bella, it's amazing how the power of words and follow-up is an opportunity to show someone you care. Is such a beautiful reframe for follow-up. And what you just dropped in there is like truly resonating with me on like what automation looks like and feels like. Certainly an important factor in what we do. But I just, in my listening, even Adam the other day was just sharing how somebody sent them like an auto message on Instagram, and he jokingly, he responded, but I can hear the level of disgust that like Adam had and felt. And, we talk about something here at Unblinded called an inconvenient truth. In like, automation is ridiculously, insanely important, yet there's a feeling. And it's unfortunate because the industry has created that feeling of like, ugh, another one of these. And it's like, how do we reframe the automation of follow-up? That is a beautiful conversation. You brought that alive and well. Now, Tiffany Armstrong, a little something about follow-up, as you're an absolute savage. And I say savage lovingly and endearingly, as you are heart-centered, caring, and you truly listen to people at a deep level, and you move through without avoidance. So what is present for you on this conversation of follow-up as we take us home on this Monday Mastery phone call?
He is a super sweet savage. There you go.
I like that. So Tiffany, super sweet savage, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for asking, Fernando. So good to be here with all 4 of you. And follow up, guys. If you don't follow up, like, why are you doing the first part? You're incredibly selling yourself and the other person of the opportunity short. And it is the most important thing if you want to create a relationship. I loved what Bella said. It shows you care. And as soon as she said that, that gave me new access to how strong I believe follow-up is. I really feel like if you don't follow up, then you obviously don't care enough about the relationship and building it. That's really what the 5D of the other person will think and feel, whether they know it or not. They will feel that. So it makes it or breaks it. And that's what it comes down to. So thank you so much.
Boom. And so like,
and also, I just want to lean into love the access to following up shows you care, and the time, the energy, and the resources that are wasted if you don't follow up will destroy your business. Yeah. There's no way we would have been able to scale, grow, and build if we weren't following up in the last business on where we are today. So it is just the combination of those two things is just so key and critical. And I love, following up shows you care. Let's take that into today. And I will for sure. Back to you.
Yeah, and may I mention one more thing, if I may? When you get your influence superpower like up to the max, and you get off a Real Raw open, and you have people calling out, "Hey Tiffany, hey Bella, hey Adam, call me. I want to talk right now." It's like, yes, like that makes my follow up a lot more easier. So they go hand in hand, right?
Yeah, this is amazing. And as we're having this conversation, there's like people following up with me and Adam, which is hilarious. So kudos to you, Paul Criscuolo, for being a man of efficiency. That is utterly hilarious. So, to take us home on this Mastery Monday, like what Adam, thank you for that beautiful access. Bella for this new container of language, and Tiffany for anchoring the importance. And let's walk away with this one. I believe a lot of us on this call, we know a thing or two about like, quote unquote, going from hello to yes on sales. And what's really resonating with me is the distinctions between follow for a sale and follow for a merger. Adam, could be perceived as a sale, but it truly, was infinitely larger than that. It was a merger. Bella could have been perceived as a sale. She could have even thought for a second she was being sold to. But in reality, it was a merger. And even myself, as we listen and mirror and model, Rob Gill and what Rob Gill was to Sean, 800 touches, 8 months, 7 months, whatever it was, my math was not that much different. in merging with Sean and Adam. And it was constant, omnipresent, all the time, consistent, showing up, touching, you know. And as much as I would have loved to automate that process, I think if I would have ever considered automating merging with Adam, Sean, or Bella, or anyone, you know, on this call, it would have just not been what it was. So as we step into the world of, you know, our speaking platform, which is what started here, what's worse than not marketing, what's worse than purchasing leads, and it is the non-execution actualization of all that effort. So as we take this home on this Mastery Monday, how are you following up? How are you bringing humility and just human energy into your follow-up? And how are you bringing your measuring, monitoring, and managing and rising of your process mastery in following up? Because if we're driving, actually correction, as we're driving to the power of a stage and microphone, the power infinitely like terminates if we do not fulfill on all the energy and effort we put into our marketing by enhancing our sales process and ultimately our sales. So everyone, Bella, please take us home with a final as we end this call, and send us home with what everyone thought should be on the power of follow-up. Could be.
I would say my final is I challenge everyone to follow up with at least 10 people that you maybe have let fall off or you've been thinking about, because we all have those people of like, we think about like, oh, I should call that person. Oh, I should call that person. So like, let today be the day. Like, no more waiting. Let today be the day because that you care.
Amen. Everyone, thank you so much for being here with us on this Ecosystem Merging Mastery Monday. This is the Unblinded Huddle, the #1 place to start your day. Adam Gugino, Tiffany Armstrong, Bella Verita, incredible job. Movement, we love you. We'll see you on the follow-up scoreboard. And of course, tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, Why the Real Raw? What is Unblinded? Why the Real Raw? As we have special guest Michael Burnett and many others speaking about the importance of having a formula to go from hello to yes integrally. My name's Fernando. God bless, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Love you all. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.